GCN show from the top of Taiwan.
Welcome to the GCN show.
Coming up this week, what do we actually want cycling to look like in the future? What needs to change, or is it absolutely fine as it is?
We've also got the hottest bike we've ever seen, official confirmation of the bikes that drug barons ride, and why electric bikes are doing more than electric cars to reduce the world's oil usage.
Oh, and news about a gardener as well.
Sounds riveting. This week in the world of cycling, we learned that there's a new bike in town, and it's without doubt the hottest bike we've ever seen.
Yep, the new Domino's delivery bike with built-in pizza oven on the back. But wait, it's no ordinary pizza delivery bike with built-in pizza oven on the back. It's a pizza oven with space-age suspension.
Indeed. No idea yet why the rider in the photos is wearing a black leather onesie and a full-face helmet.
No. You know, they'll get hotter in that gear than the oven on the back.
They will do.
Less good for reheating pizza, but still.
We also learned this week that $1 million of triathlon bikes are currently being held hostage by a shipping company.
Yeah, weird and really frustrating for all those involved, but we do understand that it's just bikes being held hostage, isn't it? And not compression socks or calf guards.
Or socks. None to be found.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a relief though, isn't it? Although $1 million of triathlon bikes, well, it sounds bad, doesn't it? But having spoken, or you spoke to Gerard Vrooman last week, $1 million of triathlon bikes is probably about 10 bikes.
That is a good point.
With modern pricing.
Yeah, good point. Finally then, this week we also learned that you lot are an even nicer, cooler and generally more supportive bunch than we thought. Thank you genuinely for your kind messages, your supportive comments, and for generally taking the time to share, well, frankly, in our sadness and our disappointment following the news that our parent company, Warner Bros. Discovery, have chosen to close GCN Plus and the GCN app.
Yeah, if you didn't see the news, that is happening on the 19th of December. So basically, we want to reiterate that GCN will absolutely be continuing on. So all the free-to-view content is unaffected, and we are as motivated as ever to keep innovating and bring you the best content that we can make. And so reading your comments, it's just been heartwarming.
Yeah.
I mean, impossible to keep up with, but heartwarming nevertheless.
Yeah. Apart from Garfield73, who said, never used it, won't miss it.
Wow. Thank you so much from both of us, Garfield. We can't respond to all of the comments individually. There were just so many of them, but we have read through them between us, and they really have made a huge difference, not just to us, me and Si, but to lots of people working here at GCN.
Yeah, now there has been a bit of soul searching and navel gazing going on over the last few days, because actually it's not just our news from last week, is it? The couple of GCN shows before that, we delved into the bike industry crisis and where the bike brands are ripping us off as well.
Although I did notice, having watched last week's GCN show, Si, that you took a bit of a break from hard-hitting news, didn't you? You were talking about what bikes international drug lords might be riding.
Well, that is true. We did do that. The conclusion from you in the comments seemed to be either a Moots or the new Aston Martin. Even Real Life Police commented. Yes. Mark Bradshaw, thank you very much for your comments. Yeah. He went for an Aston Martin.
Yeah, he did. Matthew Taylor, meanwhile, said that surely it should be a Scott Addict.
Yeah.
Mark Smith, meanwhile, pointed out that the OG of cycling drug barons actually rode a Trek 5500 OCLV.
Ooh,
we remember them well, don't we?
We do, yeah. See what you did there. Anyway, we digress, don't we, right? We started to wonder, after our navel gazing from last week, what it is that we actually want cycling to be in 5 years' time.
Well, to a certain extent, I'm sure it'll be absolutely the same as it is now, which is a sport that brings health, happiness, and community to the millions of people that use bikes the world over.
Yeah, I think we can all agree, can't we, that better catering to people buying less expensive bikes is going to be absolutely essential. And I don't think that means bringing electronic group sets down onto bikes that cost sub $1,000 or sub $500 or whatever, but just fill the void that currently exists at the lower end of the market, and also probably just reset everyone's expectations about what an entry-level bike is and how much it should cost.
Yeah, because expectations have risen.
They have, yeah.
But would we want bike brands to stop innovating and releasing new cutting-edge technologies with potential price tags to match? No? Well, I, for one, definitely don't. In the same way that I enjoy reading about tech innovations in other fields, without the want or need to buy them, I love seeing new bikes and kit, even if I don't necessarily want to ride it.
I feel like the point is that cycling means different things to different people, doesn't it? And that while the thought of no new flash bikes makes me feel sad as well.
You'd be depressed, wouldn't you?
I would, yeah. On the flip side, the bike tech arms race can leave people behind, and therefore we have to make sure, when I say we, I mean cyclists as a whole, but we've definitely got a part to play in this, haven't we? You can't leave people behind.
You can't. Or maybe it's implementing legislation like triathlon used to have. For example, banning deep section aerocarbon wheels for participants under 18 years of age so that the sport isn't quite as elitist or demoralising, I guess, for those without wealthy backers, i.e. parents.
No, I don't know what the going rate for a paper round is these days, but I think it would take a while to save up for, like, you know, a race bike these days, wouldn't it? Why triathlon scrapped that rule, I don't know, because it did seem like a really good one, and I 100% think that cycling needs something similar.
Well, we have talked about that in the past, for age category specifically. Mountain biking has always been a better way into cycling, in our opinion, and I'd say it still is. You can get away more bike for your money at that sort of lower end price bracket of under £1,000.
Absolutely, yeah, totally. It's also way less demoralising when you get beaten,
exactly,
which we know.
Yeah,
from first hand.
Well, it sounds like we agree, Si, that we need to safeguard access to cycling. That should be a priority, but not at the expense of the other end. And realistically, the reason brands consistently innovate is not a cycling issue, but a capitalist one. But that's not something that we should get into right here, right now, I would say.
Not least because we're not exactly qualified.
That's the main reason.
To talk about this, yeah. Although I did once read an article about this, so I probably, you know, probably blag it, basically. Back to your specialist subject though, bike racing.
Yep.
I saw that the UCI president, David Lepartillon, was also doing a bit of navel gazing last week, because he went on record, didn't he, saying that racing needs to adapt and change, and that basically nothing is off the table apart from the Tour de France, which still seems to be sacrosanct. But what's your take on that?
I'm not in disagreement with Lepartillon, as a lot of traditionalists are. I mean, the problem with cycling is that we have so many fans who've been in the sport for a long time, and we're all afraid of change because we love it as it is. We understand that it's complicated. We understand the narrative of the season, the ebbs and the flows, and the spring classics and the grand tours, etc., etc. But it is incredibly confusing, I think, to a new audience trying to get into it.
Yeah.
One of the suggestions that he made, he was just, I think, throwing things out there, was moving Roubaix and Flanders, the cobble classics essentially, from spring to autumn.
Why? Why would you do that?
Well, he pointed to the COVID year, or 2021, where Paris-Roubaix and Flanders were moved to October due to COVID. I mean, he was wrong. It was only Roubaix that was moved, but it did mean that we had something massive to look forward to. You know, with the World Championships in Leuven, which is in the Flanders region, quickly followed by Paris-Roubaix Femme, the first event, and Paris-Roubaix Homme, and then we had the Women's Tour of Britain and Lombardy. There was a lot to look forward to, whereas this year, we had the World Championships, the Super Worlds in Glasgow, then the Vuelta, and then it's like, oh, well, I guess we've got the Tour of Lombardy, and then that's about it. My point being that did kind of work.
Yeah.
And the calendar is as it is because it's always been that way. There's no reason not to change something and see if it works better, like the Vuelta being moved to the autumn.
Well, that's true, yeah.
I'd also condone the Vuelta and the Giro going to 2 weeks. And people are going to go crazy at that. The reason I would condone that is because I think a younger audience isn't going to have this attention span for 3 weeks, but it would also mean that a Pogacar or a Vingegaard or a Roglic might set their stalls out and say, I'm going to try and win all 3 Grand Tours in a year. Well, and it would be conceivable at that point, and you would have the biggest riders willing to do all 3 Grand Tours, because that's what we want to see.
That is a compelling argument, because ultimately you're right. We want to see more of the best riders racing more of the time, right? That's why Pogacar's been so great. It's because he's the world's best and he races all the time. So that is absolutely 100% what we want. I do wonder whether that COVID year was successful purely because we were all absolutely desperate for some bike racing.
Well, that one was a bit different. It was 2020 where we were starved of it until August, and it was 2021 where there were a few nations at the start of the year that went into a second lockdown. One of them being France, and so that meant that Flanders could take place in Belgium in April, but Roubaix couldn't. So, yes, it was an anomaly, but it did restructure the season where there was still a season narrative.
Yeah. I mean, call me a fogey. Or a dinosaur, yeah,
Dinosaur.
thanks. Just not an old fogey, all right? I am that person that you said, the old fan that's been in it a while. I don't want a revised calendar, but you make a good case that actually when it does have to change, it's not that bad, is it?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Just don't give me any innovative races. I want Milan-San Remo to stay exactly the same.
Well, I think that you can't change San Remo, you can't change Roubaix. You know, their ingredients are what make those races. But in terms of the Grand Tours, is France a better place for bike racing than Italy? Or Spain? No, it's not. It's just that it's the biggest race for whatever reason. And so, like you said, the best riders go there in the best form possible, and that's why we all want to watch it.
Yeah. Well, that is true. That is very true. Gosh, we could probably run on this.
Yeah, we should probably move on.
Well, I mean, the pertinent question to us now is how you watch racing as well, isn't it? Now, clearly a question close to our heart. I don't think we know the answer there, do we, really? No.
I mean, we really want to grow the sport, I would say. And how you do that is impossible to say. I mean, you would think it would be on free-to-view channels. That would be the best way of maximising viewership and getting people into it. But then the most successful sports in terms of income, etc., and money are behind a paywall. Formula One, Premiership football, MMA, boxing, etc. I mean, it's a huge amount to buy one of the world's top boxing matches just for one match.
Yeah.
It's a huge amount of money.
But it's not just about the live event, is it? It's about what comes after it. Whether that's the clips on Instagram or TikTok, or whether it's the documentaries that come, months after. There's lots of different ways of consuming sport, isn't it? Anyway, just moving back to broader cycling for a minute, the last thing I would like to see, or as in the biggest thing I want to see, in fact, but the last thing we're going to talk about now, is an increase in the number of people just riding bikes for transport. Now, I think it's happening. Governments and local authorities are struggling to keep pace with how fast it needs to change. And we've also got to say, they are battling very vocal minority groups that criticise active transport policies. But right now, it does feel like it's moving in the direction. So my fingers are crossed for the next little bit.
Well, I think what needs to happen is that for most countries to normalise cycling, like the much quoted examples of Denmark and the Netherlands, etc., the scale of the problem is at once vast, but also seemingly quite easy to fix.
Well, yeah, I'd agree with that. So a fact from a news article that we'll get onto in Cycling Shorts in just a minute that jumped out to me was that, to give you an example, the city of Perth in Australia apparently has 4.2 million daily car trips. 2.8 million of them are for journeys of less than 2 kilometres, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah. I can believe it, even though that would be, 30-minute walk?
30-minute walk, yeah. And for you on a bike these days, that's probably about 25 minutes, isn't it?
I've got an e-bike. I've got my wife's e-bike. What we really want to know then is what you all think you want from cycling over the next 5 or 10 years. And what is it, should we ask this? What is it that you want from GCN?
Yeah, we've got our ideas and our plans, but as we've always said, GCN is nothing without you lot. So let us know what you would like, not just from cycling, but for us as well. And that might mean videos about hookless wheels as well.
Hookless wheels?
Well, hookless rims. They're the new disc brakes.
Right.
So, yeah, no, seriously. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Hack/Bodge of the week now. You might be wondering how you upload your hacks and bodges somewhere once the GCN app is closed in just under a month's time. We're working on it, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
We will let you know in due time.
We're not, are we? Because that would be a disaster.
Some clever people
Yeah.
are working on it.
That's it, yeah.
Rest assured.
Yeah.
First up this week, Bantony sends in this low-cost $20 rockerboard alternative.
Wow.
So I know I've just been trying to decipher exactly what these colourful, spiky
sea
demi
urchins.
balls are.
Sea urchins, we think. No, so I mean, they've obviously got a little bit of movement in. I think that's cool, actually. What it would also do is if you live in an apartment would help with your sound insulation, wouldn't
You
it?
would presume so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but yeah, there you go. 4 little spiky doofers under your Wahoo Kicker Core feet.
I mean, I was also just saying, Si, that I have got a couple of different sized balls that look not dissimilar to this that are supposed to massage the underside of your feet. Which I had
Wondering where you're going with that? Yeah, okay.
From some running injury a couple of years ago. I don't know, yeah, let us know what they are anyway. But if they're under $20 and they work as a rocking plate, it's a hack for me, particularly as they are 4 different colours.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and I'm going to say hack as well. I've been influenced by the fact that 84% of you lot say that as a hack as well. So that gives me reassurance. But no, that's cool. Nice one. Next one, Peter B sent this one in. Garmin Radar saddlebag solution, because I didn't like the look of the seat post mount that came with the Garmin Radar. So apparently because they've got quite a small frame and either the tyre or the saddlebag was going to be in the way of the radar. So he punched small holes in trusty saddlebag and fixed a standard Garmin mount with zip ties on it. Works perfectly and even looks better, in my opinion.
Well, maybe they were 3D printed zip ties, so.
Well, I mean, it's neat because the outside looks okay, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What I'm worried about is that the cut end of the zip ties inside your saddlebag, I mean, that any time you try and get your inner tube out, you may well need stitches because we all know how sharp they are.
Are you going Bodge then, just because of zip ties?
Well, you know, it's a nice solution, right? But I do worry about, you know, sticking a camera on the back of your saddlebag. Is that going to be like a secure enough mount for it?
Might not, but
It's a bit wibbly.
might be bouncing down the road. Not
Yeah, or just like, you could almost see the person that's
be
about to
warning
run you
about-
over.
Could
But
be warning you about cars that are actually some way behind you.
yeah, exactly.
Like laying on the road.
I mean, it's a nice solution, but I feel like maybe,
Well, I'll go with hack.
hey,
Only because I've seen 88% of people went with hack. And I don't want to go against the grain, really.
well, all right.
Too much of a coward.
I'm going to say Bodge, actually.
Oh,
I'm going to stick my
brave.
neck out. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm not feeling that. And it's not just because of the zip ties. I wonder whether you need to 3D print a mount for your saddle, you know, to clip onto the saddle somehow. That's how you should do it.
Okay.
He says,
moving
no
on.
knowledge of 3D printing.
We had this sent in by Live and Trek Go Cycling. Saw this whilst out shopping yesterday. It was a toilet roll holder made out of a mountain bike bar.
Yeah, with a nice looking pair of forks as well. I like that. It looks quite arty, doesn't it?
Looks like quite the reach around, if you will pardon the expression.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ergonomic for the bog roll, is it?
No, I mean the good thing is you could store quite a lot of toilet paper on those bars, couldn't you? You wouldn't run out in a hurry.
Well, yeah, except
You could have had, you know,
if you store a lot of toilet
car in
paper.
quite a few pints the night before, and you'd be absolutely fine.
No, there's an issue, right? The more toilet paper you store, the more like
Blasé.
laissez-faire you get. So you might not run out as frequently, but when you do run out, it's likely to be more catastrophic.
Be a folder or a scruncher. No, you're not a scruncher.
Well, I mean, you can imagine, can't you, from my demeanour?
Oh,
I think
God.
I'm kind of like, I probably am a bit of a
Oh
scruncher.
God, well you know I'm a folder. Just like the boxer shorts in my dressing room.
You iron it as well, do you?
Pretty much, they're certainly folded.
Quality. I think that's a hack from me, that one.
I'll go with hack as well then. 71% of people voted that a hack.
Right, there we go. And then
It's a shame we can't put this up as a poll. I mean, we've got until December the 19th, haven't we? Scruncher or folder.
that's it. That is true.
I mean,
Actually,
it's what the app should be used for in the last month, isn't it?
T Reynolds 74 said, I purchased some race blade mudguards only to find that the mudguard at the front didn't have enough clearance to pass the down tube on my giant propel. A little cutting and smoothing to remove the snag with some tape added to restore the weather protection. I mean, that is a bodge, isn't it? Basically, but
It's a shame because apart from the hole, it looks like a very neat setup, doesn't it?
yeah, it does. Yeah, it looks really nice. But yeah, I mean, I think you've got to say, if you're having to cut holes in your mudguards, even if you fix it with tape again.
Yeah, I'm going to go with bodge for that one as
I
well.
think it is a bodge. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, I can't imagine how gutted I would have felt when I just installed the mudguard and then just
Yeah.
turned the bar. It's like, oh.
Do you know what you could do? You could cut a hole in your frame because then no one would notice.
Or just sand it a bit.
Yeah, just no, don't do that.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, good try. I mean, that is a good try and cool. You know, for running mudguards on a flash frame like that. It's fair play now.
It will come as no surprise that most of you voted bodge for that one, 72% to be precise. Only
Yeah.
28% thought that hacking away at a mudguard was a hack. We'll finish with this one that came in from Toon Wurzel. Spotted on Strava, there are no words. This is a helmet laden with some, 5 what look to be very heavy torches.
My God, that has got to be a heavy head at the end of that, hasn't it? But I bet you could go for a proper night ride.
You could, yeah.
It'd be literally like the middle of the day, wouldn't it?
It would be, a neck workout as well, wouldn't it?
It would be a neck workout, yeah. You might need some kind of like bungee to attach the helmet to your saddle or something, just to support your head.
Well, you can ask the ultra endurance riders. They've got all sorts of ways of keeping their neck supported, haven't they?
They do, yeah. Oh yeah, no, I like that very much. Massive bodge, of course, but still.
Yeah,
genius.
Bodge was 59%, 41% said that was a hack. The last one.
Right.
Anyway, you can still upload your hacks or bodges to the GCN app for the time being. That is where we'll be retrieving them from this time next week. But as we said, we'll keep you updated in the future.
And now it's time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, we're going to start with the news of a gardener.
A gardener. This seems to be where we've got to in the GCN show.
That's what we want from cycling, gardening. No, hear me out, right? So a gardener by the name of Tim Lee, who used a local scheme to purchase a cargo bike, turn GSD if you're interested, which he now uses in combination with a specialist trailer to cart garden waste to the recycling centre in Richmond on the outskirts of London.
And it's not just a little sort of sack of leaves, is it? Check this out. I mean, the load there, that is, more than twice as much as I can get into my 2013 Skoda Superb estate, which I must say is quite roomy in terms of its interior.
Well, it's got an electric boot.
Yeah,
hasn't it? Which I know you're very proud of.
Still
back to Tim though, like how cool is that? He's used a legitimate branded trailer, which apparently has a load carrying capacity of up to 280 kilos. We did have a look at the Richmond Recycling Depot location.
As you would do.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. And it's not far out of the centre of Richmond, about 2 miles or 3 kilometres. And when I looked at it earlier today, it said that'd be 12 minutes by car, but only 10 minutes by bike.
Well, that sounds great, doesn't it? Although, to be fair, I don't think you're going to be skirting around and through much of the traffic and congestion with a trailer that size behind a cargo bike. Although it does go to show that you wouldn't be holding the traffic up.
No, you would not. Obviously, beneath that post on Twitter, there were compulsory negative comments talking about the lack of safety. But as a couple of people pointed out, both the trailer and the cargo bike are designed to be able to do exactly that kind of job.
Yeah.
And leaves aren't that heavy, are they really?
Well, you say that. I struggle with some big sacks of leaves in the back of my car sometimes. Anyway, talking about leaves in the back of my car, at my local recycling centre, it's actually compulsory to reverse your car.
This is what the GCN show becomes.
into the space. And I was thinking, I'm not sure how you would do that with a cargo bike. Presumably there's not like a reverse.
No, there is no reverse function on a turn GSD. That's right. And reversing with trailers is very tricky anyway, isn't it, as we all know?
Well, it is, yeah. Particularly when it's that heavy and you're just trying to push it. Anyway, sticking with electric bikes, an article last week that came out on theconversation.com claims that electric bikes and mopeds are displacing 4 times as much demand for oil as electric cars are around the world.
Yeah, primarily because so many people in cities are now using them for short journeys. That said, the 280 million electric bikes, mopeds and scooters in the world are still only reducing the world's oil usage and demand by 1%.
Yes, only 1%, but the staggering thing is that 1% is still 1 million barrels of oil per day.
Per day.
Sorry, unbelievable, isn't it? The article did go on to say that they think that oil usage will peak at 2028 and gradually decline after that, so here's hoping.
Yeah.
Moving on now to a new feature that's been launched by Strava, which is called Flyover, a 3D video map that uses their signature orange to draw a line that recreates your activity for a bird's eye view.
Yeah, it looks cool, doesn't it? Particularly on mountainous terrain. It's new from Strava, but for those of you who've been around for a while, it's not a new feature in the sense that it was a function you could get via Strava using an app called Relive, but that actually ended way back in 2019
Did it really?
now. Yeah,
I remember talking about it on this very show. And I'm not strictly cycling related, but a bit of Strava art for you now. This was created after months of careful planning by Sarita Alya. Jack, will you marry me?
Ah, that is cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just to allay any fears, her now fiance Jack said yes.
Said. Yes. Didn't even bother, apparently, doing a jog to spell out yes.
No, not even a paltry Y. Maybe just a little jog on the spot. Do you think he just found it, like saw it in Strava when he was scrolling through that night?
Oh, this is an article I should point out that was in the Metro newspaper, and it said that she sent her activity to her now fiancé, and I guess he was in the vicinity and immediately went over and said yes.
Okay.
And she said, well, I haven't asked you yet. And he said, well, you have. It's written here. Anyway, moving on, back to cycling, we shall finish with the very sad story of Mariah Wilson over in the USA. So those of you who don't know, Wilson was just short of her 26th birthday when she was shot dead last year in May in Austin, Texas, ahead of a gravel race.
Yeah, so Caitlin Armstrong, who was the main suspect, fled the area after the shooting, but then was later caught in Costa Rica. And last week, she was sentenced to 90 years in prison, having been found guilty of the murder.
Such a horrific story, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There could never really be a good ending to it, but at least justice has now prevailed. If you would like to read more details than we've given here, there's an article you can read about it all over on globalcyclingnetwork.com.
It's time now for Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to get your hands on a coveted GCN Elite water bottle. All you got to do is put a witty caption in the comment. I think after 567 shows I've got that right. A witty caption in the comments section and we'll pick a winner next week. Results first though, where we gave you this photo of Tally Pikachu. You did say the other week that we'd be using photos from the Saitama Criterion for the next 4 years.
Well, Singapore is what we said, wasn't it? Because that was the rickshaw, and then Saitama was the...
That's right, yeah, so that
broccoli.
takes us to 2030.
Yeah.
So we went with it. In your absence, Tadej Pogačar.
Very good.
Broccoli.
And the winner this week is Aaron Spivak 8197. Asked to divulge his secret new superfood, Tadej responded that it would be kept under wraps.
Nice. See what you did there? Very good. Very good indeed. Get in touch, Aaron, and we will get a GCN Elite bottle sent out to you straight away.
On to this week's photo then, to get your captions under. It's of Ryan Camp at the World Cup in Troyes from Sunday, the Cyclocross World Cup. I'm already disappointed with my try this week.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't come up with much.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
You feeling a bit off colour today?
Yes. Ryan Camp wins inaugural World Balance Bike Championships.
Oh, that's not so bad, mate.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well, I'm sure we're going to get far better captions in the comment section.
I'm sure we
from our
will as well.
viewers.
But still, good effort, mate. Good effort. Get involved, put your caption in the comment section, and we'll pick a winner next week.
We will shortly let you know what's coming up on GCN over the next week, plus what we've still got for you on GCN+.
Oh, yeah.
But first up, a few of our favourite comments from last week, starting with these underneath last week's GCN show. Ross Vopaisti put, while the song Barcelona indeed was featured in Queen's Greatest Hits 3 compilation, it's actually not a Queen song. Rather, a collaboration between Freddie Mercury and Montserrat Caballé.
Yeah, it's beginning to turn into correction of the week. So previously, I got hauled up for misremembering The Simpsons. Obviously, it's not a canon error that Homer designed. He designed the Homer. And yeah, now I've got it wrong. Barcelona was not a Queen song, but just a Freddie Mercury song. And there were quite a lot of, I don't know whether you're Queen fans or Freddie Mercury fans or a bit of both. But yeah, apologies for that.
Have we ever admitted publicly that there was a short period of time where we said to viewers that there was a deliberate mistake of the week every week? Because we thought, we kept making mistakes, didn't we? And we thought that if we had that, it would give us like a free mistake. But the trouble was that in asking people to point out the mistake, we found a lot, didn't we? So
yeah, we did.
We canned that pretty quickly.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments, didn't we, back in those days? Yeah, anyway, so no, there's no more deliberate mistakes, are there?
No, just mistakes.
No way.
There were never deliberate mistakes.
No, they weren't. Right, and this next one I really liked. So obviously we were talking about the alleged local drug baron. This person commented saying, as someone who commutes from Chipping Sodbury to Bath by bike twice a week, I wish it was only 5 miles away. It's between 16 and 20 depending on route choice. Thank you for the Sodbury Cycle Sport promo though, I think. Now, the person who left this comment is called Narco IS. Or Narcosis.
Narcosis, yes.
Or Narco. But anyway, I just wonder whether that was actually the person.
Well, it could be.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a rather ironic username to have, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there we go. God, it feels really close to home, doesn't it? Even if we find out it's only 20 miles, 16
A
miles
bit
away.
further than you originally thought.
Yeah, that's weird.
Anyway, underneath the headwind World Championships video, of course it was cancelled, but our guys still decided to ride. Arne Disc, have I said that right? Arne Disc. Anyway, as a Dutchman, or a Dutch person, I was so sad I heard the race was already cancelled before I knew you guys made a video about it. But I'm super happy you got to make an awesome video regardless. I hope you guys will get to participate in the actual race on another occasion. Was Archie bold, but love that Connor was so up for giving it a go, despite presumably knowing that he was just going to act as a huge sail.
Yeah, if we do go out and do it again, we know who the team is, don't we? I.e. Hank will go and Connor will not get selected. As Jibber Jabber pointed out, the higher you go, the faster the wind. Hashtag Jetstream, hashtag Connor Air. So yeah, that was the problem, wasn't it? And then under the tyre pressure video from Friday, Cycle Trade said, very good, thank you. Another factor to consider is temperature. For instance, filling to the optimal pressure while indoors at 20 degrees centigrade and then going outdoors into 5 degrees centigrade, or beginning at 70 degrees Fahrenheit but going out into a hot day of 90 degrees Fahrenheit will also change your tyre pressure. And yeah, that is another factor to consider. But I mean, that's next level kind of.
It would be next
tyre
level,
pressuring, isn't it? Yeah. And then Ted Colarusso said, anyone else miss 18mm 120 PSI blades? Not even tyres, those blades. Either I've gotten slower or they were faster. And that comment did make me wonder, actually, because a lot of tech was faster in the day for you, wasn't it?
But yes, yeah.
Like all of it, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, the tech I had back in the day was faster than my wife's e-bike that I currently ride. It's unbelievable. Just finally, Henrik Willer 8135, pinch flat. Does it exist? Ride almost every day for 40 years, rode and mountain bike, and never had one, and never heard one of my friends have one either.
I could not believe when I read this in the comments. And what I hate is the thought that Henrik is now going to have had at least 4 pinch flats since writing that comment, because that's what happens, isn't it? You piss off the puncture gods with a statement like, oh, we've never had a puncture today, and then
I have
boom.
constant puncture paranoia. I've told you this before. As soon as I get on a bike these days, I'm constantly paranoid that I'm going to puncture. I mean, that in part is because I'm currently using a gravel bike that's got road tyres and I'm still going off-road on it. I mean, that's part of the problem. But I have it on the road as well. Anyway.
Yeah, there you go. So Henrik, like, hopefully you haven't had flat tyres yet as a result of that, but just never ever say it out loud.
No.
You never say it out loud.
Shark bikes, they were called in mountain biking, weren't they?
Those were pedals.
Oh, were they? It wasn't just
Snake bite.
Yeah, that was it, yeah. Snake bite. And a pinch puncture.
Yeah.
Because of the market left on the tube. Anyway, we've rattled on a lot, so we better let you know what's coming up on the channel. On Wednesday, winter training mistakes to avoid. You named the mistake. We've made it at some point, haven't we? On Thursday, Christmas presents that we would genuinely like to receive. We've had to remove GCN Plus from that particular video.
Yeah.
And on Friday, Manon Lloyd meets Paula Radcliffe.
Yeah, how cool is this? So Paula Radcliffe, for those of you that maybe don't know, Paula Radcliffe was the world marathon record holder in about 2003. Anyway, she's getting into bike riding, so Manon went over to give us some tips. So basically like how to get into cycling, do your first 100 miles, with someone that happened to be the fastest female marathon runner of all time.
I bet she's fast up a hill as well.
I bet she is. I bet. Crikey, yeah. Then on Saturday, BMX versus track versus mountain bike versus road. I'm so excited about this. Various different competitions for 4 categories of cyclists. Who is the fastest over what distance? And then on Sunday, it's the first of the videos that Hank and Ollie have been out filming in Tucson, Arizona. They've had a wicked time out there.
That looks like it as well.
Yeah.
Group chat.
Yeah. So they've been out doing the El Tour de Tucson, which was a huge Grand Fondo at the weekend. So Ollie had a medal after it. I don't know whether he was wearing his finisher's medal or whether it was an extra medal for, like winning or something.
Crikey.
I know.
It feels like a long time ago that we used to take the mick out of him for getting dropped.
I know. God, they were good times.
Meanwhile, Our documentary being released this week, and we are still releasing documentaries up until GCN Plus being shut down. It's basically behind the scenes with Canyon SRAM at this year's Giro d'Italia Donne. They had quite high expectations, I think, going into that race.
It was a roller coaster for them. It's unbelievable, the stuff we managed to capture.
I haven't seen it yet, but of course I will be watching it. Chloe Dygert was part of their team for that race, and she was on stonking form leading into it.
She was, yeah.
And in terms of racing, well, until December the 19th, we've basically got weekends of cyclocross. So this weekend, it's the Urban Cross, so the Kortrijk Cross X2O Badcomers Trophy. That's on Saturday. It's like cross between a cyclocross race and a criterium. Fast, furious, very close action. And on Sunday, the UCL World Cup goes to Dublin in Ireland.
How are they going to get from Kortrijk?
Well, there are a few people skipping Dublin.
Yeah.
Like Lars van der Haar, second in the overall standings, has already said he's going to miss it. So I'll be interested to see who turns up there.
Yeah. Right, well, do make sure you check into GCN Plus, particularly those documentaries, like Dan said, they are still coming out. So yeah, check
quite
in.
a
Watch
bit
those.
of binge watching, I think, going on with the ones that are already up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right, thank you all very much for watching. As always, remember to get involved in the comment section. Tell us what you want from cycling for the next 5 years. It's always to have a 5-year plan, isn't it? I was told.
But I guess so.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd like to make the GCN show shorter.
Would you?
I'm joking. For those people that got this far.
See you next week.